I'm Crystal B with Same Cast Different Day, and this is another great episode with the Same Cast Different Day podcast with the man, the legend, the person I know very well as Mr. Martel Roland.
Did you just call me a legend? That's like old people status. I'm not that old. I refuse to be called a legend. That's like old people.
Oh my goodness! I was just trying to have a little fun with him. By the way, welcome in the Same Cast Different Day, everyone. I'm your co-host, Crystal B, the man that runs this operation, Mr. Martel Roland, everyone.
The man that runs the operation. I guess that can work. I guess that can work.
He's the CEO. Just remember, he's the CEO.
Well, thank y'all all. Thank you. They got a wine kicking in already. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode. So today I'm going to talk about some things that went on with me this week, and also later on in the podcast we have a singer, songwriter, and producer, Matias, join. Well, I did an interview with him earlier this week, so maybe you'll be able to hear that later on in the episode. But to start things off, so Tuesday, I did the interview with him Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I played hooky from work and we went to Green Bay for the first day of training camp for the Green Bay Packers. And guess who showed up if you don't know who showed up? Aaron Rodgers. And I believe Randall Cobb was there too. So it was quite a sight. And I got to be on TV twice on two different networks. So it was pretty awesome. So, I think we was on Fox 11 in Green Bay.
Yep, that's correct.
And then we was on TMJ4 in the Milwaukee area. My cousin, Dewan, he was heckling the players. So like they was grabbed like the bikes and was right to like across to like the practice field. And he was like literally heckling everybody who had walked past. It was hilarious. There were these two rookies. I forgot their names. But they didn't want to ride the bikes, I guess. So he was making fun, like, no, go get the bike. Y'all think y'all too good to ride the bike? Go get a bike. Show these kids some love. Go get a bike. He literally heckled them until they went and got a bike and rode a bike to practice. So it was a very eventful and yet fun week so far. Because I have my cousin from Phoenix and I have my cousin who stays out in Seattle, Washington, who are both here this week. So it's been quite a week so far. I believe I need to post the pictures. There's some pictures already on my Instagram of Aaron Rodgers during practice. I think I put some videos on there on TikTok also. So make sure y'all check out those videos. One thing I do want to put out though, would you guys please stop with the I can't believe you was out there and all them crowds of people and nobody was wearing a mask. I was like, first of all, people, okay, I'm gonna need y'all to get this straight. Out of the whole entire state, there's only 900 people that's hospitalized with COVID, and majority of those people that are hospitalized are people who are not vaccinated. So please shut the hell up when it comes to talking about me being out in public with a no mask on outside. Just shut the hell up, okay?
Yeah, yes, that is very true. You should just be on it. Just, you know what? Take care. Just if you choose to, get vaccinated, and we always here at Same Guest Every Day recommend that you do get vaccinated for your safety, not just of yourself, but everybody around you.
For the people who can't get the vaccine, that's why it's so important to get the vaccine.
And that's true. And so, you know what? When you're out and about, you take precautions and you try to keep distance from other people that you might not interact with all the time. And that's a normal protocol by all means. Before we had COVID, there's people that didn't know other people and it was the same routine. People just didn't hang out with other people. So this routine's never changed, just that now it's more, more standard procedure now. I mean, by all means, but
I think that pretty soon, if we wear the mask for too long, a common cold is going to kill us. Because we're not allowing our bodies to be exposed to certain bacteria and germs where our bodies learn how to fight these things off. So, eventually we need to be able to just have to go out in public with no mask on.
To be honest with you, I understand, like in Japan, China, they do that where they actually, when you're sick, you wear a mask, but you're already sick. You already have the flu, you have the cold, and this is a way to prevent it to spread. Exactly. I understand. that's to me, I don't know why that hasn't been protocol for years, a long time ago, since we were kids. Why wasn't something like this out and about and out for, really general public saying, hey, by the way, make sure your kids are sick. They got to wear a mask for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is,
Exactly.
By all means, I mean, if I get sick or I else get sick, I'm gonna tell them wear that damn mask. Put that mask on. Just wear it.
Exactly. Why is that so freaking hard? Just wear the freaking mask. But yeah, people were giving me so much flock. Like even when I was down at the NBA Finals game where the Bucks won a championship, people was giving me so much flock for being out there around all those people with no mask on. You gotta think at that time there was close to over 100,000 people in downtown Milwaukee, and out of that time period, within that 1 week time period, out of over 100,000, 900 people tested positive. So at this point, it's not a big worry for me at this point. Like I said, like they said, people who are vaccinated can still be carriers. Yes, that is true, and that you can still carry it. But at the same time, the whole point of getting vaccinated is that if you were to get the virus, you don't end up in the hospital on life support.
Facts. These are all true facts. These are all solid enough facts.
And speaking of, none of the Packers was wearing a mask when they were on the practice field. People, so hey, get your shit together.
I mean, to be honest with you, one of the baseball players for the Milwaukee Brewers, Kristen Yelich, actually just tested positive after having both shots. I don't know which one he had. Again, Pfizer and Moderna, but he had them. I mean, he still got tested. You could still get it. Okay.
Yeah, you can still get the virus, but it's like, far as like the symptoms is very minimal. So it's like almost like you don't feel any symptoms at all, or it's almost like having a common cold.
You may get coughs and sneezes, cold, might feel a little run down.
Right. Alrighty. So before we get too far along, I guess we should get into the interview and let the interview play.
We should.
So, ladies and gentlemen, singer, songwriter, and producer Matias is talk with me. So here you go. Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining me on this episode of Same Cast, Different Day podcast. I have with me here recording producer, songwriter Matias here with me. Thank you for joining me on this episode.
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
I am wonderful. So one of the first things I want to talk to you about, so according to my research, you put out your first single in 2017, which I didn't even know about that. Tell me how the journey has been so far.
Yeah, so it's actually interesting. I actually put my first single out even before that. But that
really?
So I switched my name back in 2017. So before that, I went under my original name, Sebastian Rivera, and I was doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, I started music when I was like 17 years old. So I actually, well, even younger than that, but I started making my own music when I was 17 at least. And I was kind of doing like the singer-songwriter thing. I did pop, funk, R&B. I mean, I've pretty much been like all over the spectrum. But in 2017, that was the first time that I went under Matias. And the whole reasoning behind that was basically I was kind of moving more into kind of the mix with Spanish and English music. So, in 2017 is when I first went back down to Colombia and started working on music down there because my family's from down there. So I kind of started reconnecting with my roots and everything. And, this past year in 2020 was the first time that I put anything out fully in Spanish. So before that, it was always kind of a mix of Spanish and English, kind of thing. But yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, this has definitely been probably the most successful year for me so far, and the most consistent year for me, as far as putting out music with consistency. I'm working on getting some new stuff out now. But for this past year, I was pretty much releasing every 6 to 8 weeks, with the music, which I saw is definitely the format to kind of go with. It's just, having to constantly put out, material and being able to kind of provide something fresh to my audience, with a schedule.
Yeah, and I've been enjoying the music that you've been putting out over the last few months.
Thank you.
It's kind of helping me learn a little bit of Spanish, so hopefully it'll keep me going with the Spanish.
There you go.
So one of the singles I had listed as one of your early singles was Wild Side. And then I was like blown away by that because I didn't even know about those singles. And so I went back a few weeks ago, like, wait, hold on, there's like more. So I got excited. I was like, so where did that whole, when you started doing like that part of that genre of music, like what made you go into that?
So, I mean, I think a lot of it was just kind of, again, like I said, kind of reconnecting my roots. I ended up working with few producers out of Colombia. The one in particular that I worked on that project with was this guy named Pingui and another guy named Juan de Morales. And basically, you know, they kind of said to me, they're like, oh, dude, why don't you try to kind of bring, you know, marry the two backgrounds that you have together. I mean, they said, you know, you are Colombian, you know, and you are kind of reconnecting with your whole roots here and your family and everything else in the culture. So why don't you try to bring part of that, but also bring, you know, what you have from your pop background and kind of marry the two together. So that's kind of how that whole thing got started. You know, it was from more or less just kind of trying to find a fusion. And I mean, you know, you've seen me on my IG lives, stuff like that. Like I like to find fusions in music. I kind of get bored of just, you know, everyone copying what everyone else is doing. I mean, to me, that's just, I don't know. It's not interesting. It's not, you know, groundbreaking. And I think when you look at, you know, musics that have really kind of set a trend as a whole, there's just always someone who's the first to kind of take something and just take it slightly out of the box, you know, and kind of just slightly tweak it to make it their own by maybe blending two genres together or kind of giving their own taste and vibe and style to something. But, you know, it's in this industry, I feel like a lot of times, you know, people sometimes are afraid to step out of the box. And I feel like that's once you learn to step out of the box, that's really where the creativity starts to set in, and you can really kind of, you know, develop your own trend and your own vibe.
Yeah, that is one thing I really enjoy and I gravitated towards with your music is their ability to step out the box and then the sound of it. Because it's not, when I listen to a lot of today's music, it's like I get bored with it really fast. And that's one of the things I really love about your music.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's kind of been my goal, is to just kind of always, like, I don't know, like I come from, I mean, outside of like the whole pop world, like when I started in music, I started in like classical and opera when I was like, you know, 7 years old. So, I mean, I was kind of coming from a really totally different like perspective and space of music, you know. I like the musicality of music. So, I mean, to me, I try to involve elements of that without overcomplicating it, you know what I mean? But
Right.
I try to keep, you know, some of those elements into my music. And you see sometimes when I'm building music out, I like to build harmonies and I like to build stuff that kind of just, it keeps the ear going, you know what I mean? It's something that just kind of, you know, tags you as you move through the music to show a progression.
That is true. I really enjoy that. So when did you realize you had the music itch? Like when did you was like, this is what I want to do?
Oh, since I was a kid. I mean, like I started music when I was, like I said, probably like 7. I mean, and before that, I used to, I don't know if you remember like I can't remember what that was. I don't know if it was Looney Tunes. There's one of those like, you know, like cartoon TV shows. There's that little frog that used to hop out of the box and was singing like opera, or, you know.
Oh, I think that's like the WB frog or something like that.
Yeah, WB frog. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. I used to run around the house, like, you know, imitating him and stuff when I was a kid. So, I mean, I don't know. It just kind of, I just had the bug, and it just, I pursued it ever since that. I mean, you know, throughout pretty much my whole life growing up as a kid, I mean, I was involved with something with either the theater or with, you know, like I said, like classical music or opera. And then it was around like probably 15, 16 that I started to play guitar. And, you know, I kind of wanted to switch from this. I wanted to switch from this position of singing other people's music, because I was always singing other people's music, things that other people wrote, you know, shows and whatnot, to being able to kind of compose and create my own music. So once I had the ability to start playing guitar, that's where that kind of all set into place. And I started, you know, writing songs and playing everywhere. I mean, you know, when I was like 18 or 19, when I just got out of high school, you know, I used to go to New York and I would play in the subway for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, I played on the subway. I played on the streets of New York. I played, you know, Ocean City, Maryland. I would go down and play on the boardwalk. So, I mean, my guitar for the longest time was like that was like my girlfriend, you know. She went everywhere with me, and you know, I'd be playing anytime I had the opportunity to go out and play, I would be playing, you know. So you know, it's an interesting progression, especially now kind of moving to music where, you know, it's more production behind it. But I mean, a lot of times even still, like I'll try to start with my composition with a guitar or with a piano or something, you know, that kind of allows me as a bass instrument to start building up everything around it. But yeah, I mean, my guitar went everywhere with me for many years.
So speaking of your piano, when I was just watching the last live that you did, I had no idea you played the piano. I knew about the guitar, but I didn't know about
Yeah.
the piano. So what other tricks are you hiding? Like what other instruments can you play besides those?
Well, those are the two main ones for me. So I mean, like, and I'm not the best piano player. I can diddle around, you know, and I can get the general idea. But those are the two main ones for me. You know, when I was growing up, I tried to play a little sax, and not really my thing. And you know, drums, forget it. I'm horrible. I can't. I don't know why, but I can't play them at all. And I mean, sometimes I can program them, but it's like I don't know, something just doesn't compute, you know. And it's interesting because you know, even some of the guys that I work with, a lot of times will, you know, when we work on productions together and stuff, like I'll end up coming up with really cool top line melodies or coming up with cool chords or progressions or stuff like that. And, you know, that's where I excel. But then when I ask like them, they can come up with really dope, like, you know, bass and drums. So I think sometimes people just, they have a gravity towards one or the other, you know, and those who can really excel can do both, you know what I mean? But I've noticed a lot of times it's like, you know, you'll always find one person that can kind of complement the other when it comes to, you know, producing music. So, I mean, that's why I've been a big fan of collaboration as well.
Speaking of your collaborations, I love seeing you collaborate with like other writers during your Instagram lives. And
Yeah.
then you actually take advice and actually use some of the advice too from like the people who's like writing in the comments. And I really enjoyed that. What made you start wanting to do that, especially on Instagram Live?
You know, that was something kind of new, honestly. So I mean, I just kind of started saying to myself, I mean, I'm like, you know what, let me kind of just put stuff directly out to my public, you know what I mean? Because I mean, at the end of the day, like the people that are on my Instagram and the people that are watching me are the people that are consuming my music, so why not then let them be a part of that, you know, whole process? So I said, you know, why not? I mean, you know, it's rather new to me even still. I mean, this is only in the past couple months that I've really been doing that, but I like it. I mean, it's cool. It gives me honestly like direct automatic feedback, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like I said, the people on there are the ones who consume my music. So you know, I figure, hey, if it gives them an opportunity to feel like, you know, part of the collaboration process, that's awesome too. And, you know, when I'm working with other writers and stuff, you know, it's, I think it's kind of neat because to me, it's like, imagine like, you know, the first car being built, but imagine being able to kind of stream that to the world and let the consumer almost be part of that. Imagine how much that can streamline or could have streamlined the process. You know, like maybe there could have been an input from someone halfway across the world that said, hey, you know what, that chair doesn't look exactly right, maybe try to angle it, you know, this way 15 degrees or something. And I mean, I think when you have kind of this open network and this kind of open environment behind things progress faster, you know, and things can actually improve faster. And you know, I'm really big into like, you know, tech, and I'm really big into just business in general too. So, and I read a lot of books, and you know, one thing that there's been a lot of talk about is just, you know, open networks and name skipping right now the actual formal name of it. But anyway, kind of this open network communications, they do allow for things to develop much faster than keeping things kind of closed and private and, you know, kind of elusive from everyone. So, you know, I figure it's a different and interesting way to write.
Yeah, because from watching your lives, I never knew how much production goes into like producing a song. Like I've
Oh yeah.
seen it from the aspects of where everything is kind of like already put together and a person was just going in like, I just need to do these lines. But
Mm-hmm.
seeing you do it from scratch, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like I never knew how much work goes into producing a track.
Oh yeah.
And then to see you like you like, oh no, that doesn't sound right. And then you go back and like we see you do like 10 or 15 takes one time during one of your live sessions. So I was just blown away by how much production goes into, producing a track and you letting your audience see that. I think that's like a big plus, because not a lot of artists let their their audience see, or their listeners, people buying their music or streaming their music, listen and see that part of the work that goes into producing the music for them.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of cool too. I mean, like I said, I think a lot of people, they kind of want to keep that part more elusive and kind of more mysterious. But I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, like the way I look at it is, again, I think it's nowadays more so than any time before this. I mean, your audience wants to be able to see the process, and it's like, I go back to my point. I mean, we never had a point in time where we could so directly and immediately be able to share this process that we go through with our audience. And I mean, I look at people even like, a guy that I've been watching for a while is Gary V, or Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you heard of him before. But a friend of mine, actually, he who shot my first music video. He's actually that guy D-Rock who works with him. So he shoots all of his stuff now. Yeah. So ironically enough, when he started working with him, I started following him. But he even talks about that process a lot, and he kind of, he's very, one thing that he says that I really appreciate, and I think I really gravitate towards, is he's like, don't filter yourself. Just document everything, record everything. And then if you want to filter out into bite-sized clips for, whatever platform it is, then you can filter. But I mean, if you immediately start filtering yourself, and you immediately stop kind of like the creative process from happening because you're worried about what someone's going to think, or what someone's going to say, or what someone's opinion is of something, you're limiting yourself at that point. You know what I mean? So I mean, I love the ability to kind of be able to go on live, and okay, if I mess up, I mess up. I mean, we're all human, right? So, right. But I think a lot of artists don't want to show that part. They're afraid to show that part because it is a personal thing, and it is like opening up your life, to what's going on with behind your music and everything. Like, because this, I think the creation of music is something very interpersonal, you know what I mean? Because you're essentially allowing expressionism coming out from yourself, and putting that out to the world. And I think everyone wants to just see feel like they see the final product. But like you just said, I don't think a lot of people know how much goes behind it, and how much, actually goes behind creating that song. So I think it also now, for the audience, kind of develops a higher sense of appreciation for music, because I think most people, they hear a song, I don't like it, or I like it. You know what I mean? So, but they don't understand, like, people are spending hours and hours and hours and hours in a studio developing these ideas. And I mean, so even if I find a song that I'm not necessarily a fan of, I'm not going to necessarily trash it right away either, because I know that there was hours and hours and hours spent behind creating that piece of music. Whether it's my taste or not is subjective, but at the same time, like, I know I can appreciate the value of what went into that,
Right. I can understand what you're saying about the appreciation of it, because I believe the last single that you had put out, I remember watching you on Instagram Live working on that single. And then I had no idea you was actually about to drop a video to it. So I started seeing the clips. I was like, oh my God, it's like, it's about to hit. It's about to hit. I was so excited. So I understand what you mean by the appreciation of the fans or the listeners to be able to see that whole process come together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So one of the things I want to talk, I remember, I don't know if it was about 2 months ago, you were supposed to be going to a writing camp. I want to ask you about how that went.
Oh, so that went really well. That was down in Atlanta. And like I said, I'm actually going back down this week. But yeah, that went really well. We worked on some new music down there. I don't know if you saw my live the other day, Libby, the guy who was on there with me, the producer. So I was working with him down there on some new material. And yeah, we got probably about 4 or 5 songs, like kind of just roughed out. So we were basically working on, like just kind of finishing them up. So the idea was to kind of finish it, during that whole time. But, he had some personal stuff happen, and, just kind of our times didn't align. So, but the idea is now I'm going to go down there, ideally finish up those, 5 records or so, and work on some new stuff. And then also, he's going to be hosting another writing camp down there for this week and the following week. And that'll be pretty cool, because I'm going to be working with him. I think this other guy named Backpack Miller, I want to say his name is. He's another producer. He worked with like Ray Shrooman. He worked with Little Dirk, a couple other big guys in the industry, and a couple writers from Sony. So it's gonna be pretty cool. Like we're gonna be doing like a pretty decent writing camp and working on, a bunch of different music, and then probably working on some stuff also for my project as well, at some point during that week. So yeah, but it's definitely it's interesting. I've never really done the whole Atlanta scene before, but I do like it. There is a lot of musical talent down there. I don't know if you saw my IG. I was up at Icon Studios. That was a really cool place to check out too. That was that one studio picture I had.
Is that the one with the cool lighting in the background?
Yeah.
That place looks so awesome.
Dude, it looks like a spaceship when you walk in there. So it's really neat.
Whoa. Oh man, that has to be. So speaking of the Atlanta music scene, was it like you expected when you got on the Atlanta music scene? I mean,
it's different. I mean, like, so Atlanta as a whole was totally different for me. Like, I wasn't sure what to expect exactly. So I guess I didn't really have like, definite expectations, but I mean, it was like really kind of interesting because there's just from like even a cultural aspect, there's a huge mix of culture there. And I didn't really know that. So it's like, you have like a huge community of like people like Mexican people, Asian people, and then like, obviously African-American community. But I was really interested by that because I just saw this huge blend, and like, it's kind of cool because it has its own vibe from that. You know what I mean? Like same way you go to New York and you kind of get this, like this whole vibe from all the cultures blending together. So I don't know. I'm always interested in that. And I think, the music that comes out of there is definitely always influenced by those factors as well. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it was kind of cool, like, but the whole scene as a whole, I loved it. I thought it was cool. I mean, I definitely, like I said, I'm going back down. So I enjoyed myself.
So what was your biggest takeaway from the Atlanta music scene?
I think my biggest takeaway was really just kind of like, I don't know. I think it's more of a personal thing than necessarily like a music thing. I think for me, it really wants to push me to kind of be more in a community with more like songwriters and more producers and being around more people like that. Like I've been really contemplating the move between like Los Angeles or Medellin for a while, but then now checking out Atlanta, I'm like, this might not be a bad place to come either. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. It's interesting where I'm at here. I'm in Pennsylvania, and it's cool. It's not bad. It's calm. It's, but it's not, I'm not surrounded by creatives. You know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like, I don't know, being around that creative energy and being around other people who also create and build, like it kind of supercharges you. You know what I mean? Where, I mean, here it's like I'm working on my stuff by myself, and don't get me wrong, it's great, but I still feel like, when I'm in Colombia, for example, like I go down there and I'm like, I don't know, I just feel a different vibe when I'm working with like 4 or 5 different people in a room versus just doing it kind of all by myself, So I think my biggest takeaway, like I said, is not necessarily anything directly from the Atlanta scene, but just more so kind of a personal thing of, saying, well, I think I need to put myself around more creatives. I need to be surrounding myself more with that physical energy, because when you compose and create and produce something in person and having the other person right in the room with you, bouncing off ideas and bouncing off a vibe, it creates a whole different kind of thing versus if you're just kind of, hanging out on the computer and doing things virtually,
Right. So I don't know if it was in Colombia or it's another place you were talking about. You said had an apartment there. So were you still planning on hosting like the writing section there that you were talking about?
In Colombia, yeah. Well, so I was talking to so at the end of August, I'm going to be going down to Aruba to work with I don't know if you've ever seen Omar on our live sessions, but I'm working with him. He's a producer out of Aruba, so we were thinking about going to Medellin initially to host a writing camp down there. But I think what we're going to do now is I'm going to go to Aruba, shoot the video down there, and then also host a writing camp down there. Mm-hmm. And then maybe, depending on what's going on with my schedule, come the fall, I think I might be going to Medellin and probably doing a camp down there as well. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm just like kind of right now, I'm kind of trying to figure out where the next move is too. But like I was saying before we started recording, I'm thinking about LA, but I like also, I don't know, just the whole COVID thing. I'm like, I don't know if I want to head out there quite yet, but we'll see, you know. But yeah, I'm just kind of trying to figure out the direction of where I'm trying to take everything.
All right. So let's just say about 10 years from now, and you're on stage for accepting Album of the Year at the Grammys.
Mm-hmm.
What would you think you would say to yourself? You let yourself now, if you had a chance to tell, if your future self tell you something now.
I think the thing I would tell myself now is just to keep continuing to be persistent and consistent. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing with this whole thing, and to not doubt anything that you do, just to continue pushing forward, because, you know, I kind of look at a lot of things in life. It's like surfing, you know, like you kind of, you feel the wave that comes up behind you. And, you know, sometimes people, they stop paddling because they don't think the wave's actually going to crash. But sometimes that's the biggest wave that you can take. And they give up basically before they actually have the chance to ride the wave, you know? And I think that's with anything in life. Like, you have to be consistent. You have to just continue to push, because the minute that the wave's actually about to crash is probably the minute that you're so tired that you want to give up, you know, but you can't, you know what I mean? So I think that's the same thing I would tell myself now. And I think that's ultimately what continues to push me to the point where I know I'll be there one day. It's just a matter of continuing the consistency, continuing to be, you know, every day working on my craft. And, you know, things will happen. I read a lot of stories about, you know, different people who have been successful in all kinds of different fields. And that really, it's so much more than anything else. It's the mindset. You know what I mean? If your mindset's not right, you can never reach that level. And the reality is, if your mindset's not right and you reach that level, it's going to be that much harder for you to hold on to it. Because once you hit a point where you really hit like kind of a higher level success in your life, that's where the game really starts. Because it's like, how do you hold on to that? You know what I mean? How do you not let that go? You know?
Yeah, that is true. Cause I think last year about sometime I was like, okay, you know what? I don't think this whole podcasting thing is going to work out. And I was like, no, let me stay at it and keep going. And now I run into you and I'm sitting here interviewing you.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. But yeah. This whole ride has been such an amazing opportunity. Like, I've gotten a chance now to interview politicians, working on getting the city mayor to come on. So it's been a ride for me.
Yeah, no, and that's the key, man. It's like anything in life, though, is consistent of the same thing. It's just a matter of being able to, again, just be consistent. If you show up every day, you have you've already beat half the people that are trying to do the same thing that you do. You know what I mean? And that's,
yeah,
I think people don't realize that, you know, but it's like, it just a matter of being able to be consistent, show up, and just when you do, come in and give it your all, you know?
That is true. My microphone is want to act up today for some reason. Right. Okay, I have to do it like this. So we have to rough it out, people. All right. So, who are your top 3 people that you want to do a feature with?
So, I think probably a top 3 right now. I would really love to do something with like Raul Alejandro. He's really great. I think my second one would probably be like Pedro Capo. He's kind of more on the pop side. And then probably the third one would be probably Camilo. I like a lot of his stuff. You know, he has kind of this, like, he has a similar kind of tonal style to me too. You know, he has this higher kind of voice. So like, he has some really cool stuff too. But those are probably my top in the Spanish market. In the English market, probably, it's a good question. I probably would say like something with Dua Lipa would be really dope. I really love a lot of her music. I would say probably, that's a good question for the English market. I know Dua Lipa would definitely be one of them. I don't know. I have to think about the other two. I'm not sure about the other two off the top of my head because I've really been focusing too much on that market. But definitely, I definitely like a lot of Dua Lipa stuff, and I've seen her do some collaborations with Latin artists. Ooh, Miguel would be another cool one too. Miguel actually did a pretty cool crossover with Tiny, which was pretty neat. Oh. So, yeah. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's called Sunbake.
I'm about to go check that out.
Yeah, really cool record. They kind of took elements of like reggaeton, but like mixed it with Miguel's like kind of R&B style.
So one of the people I feel like I wish I can get like this collaboration with you is like you and Selena Gomez. It's like you, Selena Gomez, and I think Charlie Puth would have like the best like combinations together. I think that'd just be so awesome.
That would be. And I really like Selena Gomez, and I really, really like Charlie Puth stuff. Like he's very interesting. So he's from New Jersey, and I followed him for a while, and it's kind of interesting his whole, background and stuff. So, I mean, he really started as kind of producing his own stuff and building out his own ideas, and then just kind of like building from there. And what I like about him is Charlie Puth actually takes a lot of influences from like old school Motown type stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like his whole vibe to me is very interesting, and his whole creation process is very interesting, because I think he's very eclectic in his, kind of his musical background. And I think that's what really kind of sets him apart as an artist. Like, it's not just like he's getting a record handed to him and saying, okay, sing this. Like, no, he's literally going from scratch and working on these records, and kind of really has this whole like very eclectic like background and history of music, which is interesting. Like, I mean, he's named some Motown artists that I've never even heard of these guys. You know what I mean? So like, and I'm pretty diverse in my musical background. But it's I think that's what really makes him kind of set apart as an artist as well.
Actually brings to a question I was going to ask you. Kind of touched on it, about artists who basically get told to sing this versus artists who write their own, like who write and produce their own music. So when they're on stage, like you can tell like it was a song that was just given to them, and you can tell like how their stage presence is. So how do you feel about like doing covers and then doing your own music when it comes to like the performance side of it?
So I mean, it's interesting. Covers to me are okay. Like, I don't hate them, but they're not my favorite thing to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
I did a cover band thing for a while, and that was cool, and I enjoyed it, and I had fun. But we were doing covers, and we were also doing my originals, but it wasn't really fulfilling me the way I wanted it to. You know what I mean? But I think like as far as, I always prefer to write my own stuff, or, and I'll be honest, I do a lot of collaborations with different writers too, because I do think that there's, again, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, like collaboration is something that's very interesting to me. And it's something that's kind of really cool because, again, it opens up the perspective as to what you can talk about. And it opens up the whole, just, I don't know, the general well-being of the song, because again, there's only so many experiences that I personally lived through, in my life. Right. Now you take that same experience and I multiply it by 3 or 4 different people, now you have a whole different set of things that you can work with, from the words, from the the writing events. Like, there's so much more that you can talk about. So, I don't know. I like I said, going to covers, they're okay. I don't mind them. It's not my favorite, but I'll do them. And, but when it comes to like writing, going with original stuff or working with writers and something, I always like to have at least some involvement in the writing process, even if it means that I just go in and flip a couple things up to tailor it to more to my story and my vision. I prefer that than just taking a song that's just totally pre-written and just given to me and told, here, sing this,
Right. Because Mariah Carey is like one of those artists. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but on every last one of her albums, she always did at least one cover of a song.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was asking one. That's why I was wondering, like, how did you feel about the whole cover situation?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've never actually released like a cover, and it is something I've been told to try that, and I wouldn't maybe mind trying it, especially if I could take my own interpretation of the cover, Mm-hmm. And honestly, if you look throughout history, I mean, some of the biggest and, greatest artists throughout history, they started on a cover. I mean, if you look at like, even the Rolling Stones, they were literally just playing loud blues music. That's what they were doing. They were taking blues and just literally making covers of it and just getting their like I said, their flavor and their touch to it, really. Mm-hmm. A lot of artists throughout history have done that. They started with something that was a cover and just, again, reinvented it, because, well, at the end of the day too, all music is recycled. Music, pop culture, everything that you see, it is a recycle of something that's happened in the past, maybe just distant enough that people have forgot about it already, you know, or distant enough that the new generation has forgot about it. Cause I'm even seeing it now. I mean, look at all the music that's coming out now that has all this like 70s and 80s type vibe, you know, like for our parents, you know, that's something that's familiar. But I mean, for a lot of, you know, kids who are, you know, anywhere from 15 to, you know, the primary market for most artists is like, let's say 15 to 25. They never heard 80s music. Maybe they heard it a little bit with their parents, you know, playing in the house, but that's not to the capacity of what they have it now. And not even to the capacity of probably, you know, what even our generation, you know, being millennials, like have seen, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's very interesting. Everything just gets recycled and kind of, you know, upcycled, shall I say, you know? So
that's why I'm so against people using 70s and 80s music, especially from this generation, what the artists that's out now, because I just feel like they ruined the music because it just doesn't sound that good.
it's a reinterpretation. I mean, that's what it boils down to. It's like, you know, they took, I mean, you know, look, can I compare a record by like, you know, Dua Lipa to like, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire? No, it's just not, it's not the same thing, man. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you can't put them in the same category. But again, like in my personal opinion, do I think it's bad? No, I don't think it's bad. I think it's someone that's now taking their personal touch and taste onto something and just kind of applying it. But do I think that it's something that I'm like, you know, would I prefer to still listen to Earth, Wind and Fire? I mean, yeah, you know, I think that they've created something that's a classic. But again, I think it all comes down to opinion, right? Because if you really think about it, what makes a song a classic? You know, what makes a piece of music something that defines history? You know, because like I said, even if you look at like the Stones, going back to that example, okay, well, they became a classic, you know, they became a classic group that just known throughout history, but did they really reinvent anything? No, they took blues music and just made it louder and faster. I mean, that's all they did.
I mean, so, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, is that within enough of a definition to say it's became a classic? I guess, you know, it depends on what pop culture states and what the general populace states, you know what I mean? So it's interesting. I mean, you know, but again, music is all, what I love about music is it's all about opinion. You know what I mean? It's all like all based on taste, you know?
Yeah, because with your music, to me, it sounds fresh and new, and it's not like what I'm hearing today. Because when I turn on the radio today, like I kind of hate turning on the radio today because everything kind of sounds the same. And then when you produce your music, like I don't hear that. Like it's always something new with each single that you have put out over the last few months. So that's how I really enjoy listening to your music in the direction that it's going in. And speaking of, when is the next single dropping?
So that I'm still trying to work on. That's like that. So it's weird. So this is the first time in a year, basically, that I didn't have something within like 6 to 8 weeks. And I think I just kind of needed a little bit of a mental like pause, you know what I mean? Because I was getting a little bit burnt out. But you know, I'm working on stuff now. So like I said, I'm working on this record. Hopefully we will be shooting the video by the end of the month. So maybe September, you know, maybe, yeah, probably I would say September or October at the absolute latest. I'm trying to get something out before that. I'm thinking about maybe just putting something kind of out off the cuff kind of thing. Nothing with a huge release behind it, but we'll see. I'm working on it. I know I took a little pause, you know, because the last one was back in June, but you know, also just to be 100% honest, this is my summertime. This is the one time I get to come up here and, you know, spend some time with family and friends and stuff. So I'm just like, you know what, I got to also enjoy my life.
So, that is true. It's just that I've been on the edge of my seat waiting.
Yeah. No, don't worry. But I got some stuff coming out for sure. I mean, and once the new stuff does come out, it's going to be really cool. Like I said, I mean, the stuff I was showing you the other day, that I was kind of working on those harmonies, that's going to probably be one of the next ones. And then from there, I got a couple other ones. It's funny because I have a couple in my back catalog, like a couple of ballads, and I have a really good one, but I don't think I want to release it yet. You know what I mean? Like I'm waiting for the opportune moment to release that. But I have a really, really nice single that I do want to release soon. I'm just trying to find the right opportune moment, you know.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
I guess the wait will be worth it once they drop. So I'm ready
Absolutely.
for it. I'm ready.
Awesome. Well, they are coming. Don't worry.
Well, I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to interview you and come on the podcast. It's been such a joy to have you on here with me.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on. And just keep in touch with me on IG, and for your listeners too, they can check out my stuff. Matias Made It. It's all my social media handles, and just stay in touch, and hopefully we can get a couple listeners to come in and pop in on the live too, and we can all hang out.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Alrighty, so hopefully all of you enjoyed the interview with Matias. It was so great to have him on. Don't forget to check out his social medias. Don't forget that he does go live on Instagram quite often. So when he's like doing like recording sessions and stuff, he does allow his fans to be able to watch his recording process and actually let them give feedback and put input in on some of his music that he does. So make sure you guys go check him out. Matias Made It. That's his Instagram. So make sure y'all go check him out. And his music is available on all streaming services. So before we had got into the interview, like I was saying, we were talking about COVID, but Claire, what's been going on with you this week?
So other than me into my third week of doing my voice lessons, I still do sound a little bit masculine, but I'm actually working on those lessons. So something we will keep everyone updated, and I got to work on myself. But so actually last night, because we are in the state of Wisconsin, Martel is down in the southeastern part. I'm in the kind of north central part of the state. Actually, what happened was there was a warm front and a cold front kind of really butt against each other and brought down a nice storm system. And I had to leave my home, go to my parents, stay there for most of the night because there was actually straight line winds of excess between 65 to 85 miles per hour, which is pretty close to like EF0 and EF1, kind of in that scale. So do your research now. Do understand tornadoes are different from hurricanes. So as this podcast is around the world, you have to understand that tornadoes do have hurricane force winds. So do understand just because tornadoes are more inland and hurricanes are more oceanic, that you have to make sure you do compare apples to apples. So I'm very happy to say my house is still one piece. I'm glad to hear Martel slept through the whole thing.
Entire thing. I heard no rain, no thunder, no wind, not a chime, no tornado alarms that people were saying going off. I heard nothing. So if there was a real tornado that would have hit my part of the state, I probably would have been dead because I would have slept through everything.
I am just happy that everybody, there was some warnings down by you. Actually, I did look at some.
Yeah, they actually had a tornado touchdown in Waukesha.
I did see that. Yep, I did see that. They had possibly in the state, I think right now we're up to like 4 tornadoes in the state so far. So we're talking from like around I think it's 90, Interstate 90, kind of up by the Twin Cities there, kind of up north, kind of just past Eau Claire, Chippewa Falls. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing how there was like an EF1 or 2 up there, and it worked its way down there, and it started stalling. It was going real fast. It started slowing down. Well, when things start slowing down, you have to understand things get really crazy kind of quick. Things can get really out of hand really quick.
The problem was Mother Nature doesn't know how to channel her anger when all she needs to do is go drink a glass of wine and be happy and stop doing all this angry stuff. Like for instance, Texas, Arizona, and Louisiana, please come up here and get your weather. Once again, we don't like it. It's too damn hot. I don't like it. Come get your weather. I don't like it. I understand. I got to walk around with swamp butt all day. I don't like it. Come get your weather. I'm just saying, it was so hot. Oh my God. Like, it's like soon as I step outside, instant swamp butt. That's just how hot it's been. I don't like it. It just needs to go away.
and it's so humid. I mean, I work inside a building too, and it's so humid.
You see,
It's like,
but you're lucky you ain't had swamp butt at work.
she's no, I don't have that issue as a lady. I do not. So no, I actually no, I do not. But I mean, yeah, I could. I'm not saying it's possible, but you know,
I'm just saying, Texas, come get your weather. I'm tired of swamp butt. That's all I'm saying. It's a lot. Just come get it. We didn't ask for this. Just like y'all didn't ask for snow, we didn't ask for this. Come get this stuff.
you know, and everyone, I love how he actually says it. It's like, get it out of here. We want our 70s and 50s. Thank you very much.
Yes, like to me, the perfect day is 76 degrees, a blue sky with no clouds. That is like the perfect day for me. I don't need it no hotter than that.
You know, some nice white puffy clouds would look pretty, you know, by all means. But you know what? It is pretty interesting. Now, you know, when you talk about temperature change, and this is one thing actually we talk about like storms and what happened last night. It's funny that you know, if you were to take the same temperature that it is right now, it's probably in our 80s right now, pushing almost 90 like normal for July, which normally it doesn't get warm. Now we are at the tail end of July, which is normally where kind of a mid-July will start warming up. In August and September, usually where it stays pretty steady until we start slowly.
It gets hot here though, but it don't get hot where it stays in like the 90s like this for like this amount of consecutive days.
No,
because I think we went like 4 or 5 days where it's like 90 degrees straight, just swamp butt everywhere. Everybody walking around with swamp butt. I think that's why girls be wearing sundresses in the summertime, because they be having swamp butt and don't want nobody to see that swamp butt. That's what it be. Everybody walk around with swamp butt with this weather. God damn it, take it away.
September will come. But so there's other parts of the state where you can go into different parts, like towards like one of the Great Lakes, like Lake Michigan. And it's funny that the temperature changes.
Oh, nope. I stay close to the lake. It's still hotter than a jalapeno ass. It's still hot. Nope. I live close to the lake. It's still hotter than hot. No.
So once you head more north, okay, way north of Milwaukee and Sheboygan, head up towards the wine country up that way.
Drink to that.
Wine country, as Mr. Martel, we gonna maybe try to see if we can squeeze it in this year. We'll see what we can do. I don't know.
Wait, is the winery here?
There's actually a winery and distillery in my city. Actually,
Whoa! You didn't tell me this, and I was there already. How dare you?
There's a winery and distillery.
How dare you? Not tell me this. I love my wine.
Actually, take that back. There's actually a winery in town, and there's one like within like 20 minutes of my house. Another one. So 2 wineries.
You're going to Shady Pines now.
No.
Yep, you're Shady Pines.
No.
How dare there be a wine distillery?
Oh, that's right. Okay,
what were we talking about again?
Dispensaries are for those people that do this stuff. Okay, that stuff. Okay, that's the the 4420. Okay, those people. Not the area code. Okay. All right, not 920, 420. So.
Oh yeah, right. How dare you not tell me about the wine dispensary? Dare you?
You thought about the wineries, the two of them?
Yeah, I'm offended. I didn't know that.
And then there is also a distillery. The distillery has regular alcohol, like hard alcohol. Hard. That like hard knock you down on your butt hard. Alcohol.
I mean, there's no such thing as knock you down on your butt hard with my family, because I'll tell you, they groom you from a young age. Your liver is gone by the time you're 18. So, they groom you from a young age.
Oh, my goodness.
It runs.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
It runs in the family.
So next time when Mr. Martel comes up by me and rolls up, we will go to the winery and we will sample. We will do our 10 samples.
10? Oh, I'm really mad at you now.
What?
You didn't tell me it was 10 samples.
Could be 6. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're doing here. They used to be 10. They used to be 10. They might have changed it to 6, but
how dare you? My feelings just hurt right now.
You're fine. Take your feelings. Take your feelings and just.
I am appalled right now. I don't even know if I should be clenching my pearls. If I had some pearls to clench right now, I'd be clenching my pearls right now. I'm just so upset. Do y'all hear this? Everybody knows how much I love wine, and there's a winery. When I was in Fond du Lac, it didn't tell me.
And we should have probably went. So next time you come up,
that's the kind of stuff that made me want to burn down the whole city.
Yeah. So we take our next little adventure in August. We will go look, okay, and then maybe we'll do an adventure in September, and maybe we will go to a whole bunch of wineries, a whole bunch, and that will include going to a dive bar for food.
So you say.
I got the hookup. I do. I got the hookup.
Oh my God, these poor children. You know, I might have to wrap up the podcast early this week because these poor children would not let me record in peace. They're steady knocking over the equipment. I'm so happy y'all can hear all this equipment knocking over in y'all ears. So thank you all for tuning in to this episode.